You know, in Pakistan, tea isn't just a drink, it's a whole cultural ritual. And for a long time, one brand, Tarang, absolutely owned that ritual. It was way more than just a tea whitener. It was in pretty much every household. But then, almost as fast as it rose to the top, it all came crashing down. So let's get into the incredible story of how the king lost its throne.
So really, what happened here? How does a brand that seems totally invincible, that's a staple in every kitchen, suddenly find itself in a fight for its life? That's the big mystery we're going to unpack.
To really get the scale of this collapse, you first have to understand just how high they climbed. At its absolute peak, Tarang had a jaw-dropping 64% of the entire tea whitener market. They weren't just a leader, they were the undisputed leader.
Okay, keep that first number, 64%, in your head, because by 2019, that massive market share had just fallen off a cliff, all the way down to 16%. That's not a dip, that's a catastrophe that completely reshaped the industry. So how did we get from there to here? Let's rewind a bit.
So our story really kicks off back in 2007. A company called Engro Foods was looking at the market and they spotted this massive opportunity. See, Pakistanis love their tea, but getting a consistent, clean, and affordable milk option, well, that was a real headache, especially for the growing middle class. And this is where Tarang comes in. Engro Foods launched it with a laser-focused mission. The positioning was just perfect. A high-quality, hygienic, and wallet-friendly alternative to the loose milk so many people were using. They basically created a direct solution to a daily problem for millions. So how did they build this empire so unbelievably quickly? It really wasn't just one thing. It was a perfect recipe. For starters, their packaging was brilliant. You just couldn't miss those vibrant red, yellow, and purple boxes on the shelf. Then, they masterfully wove the product into popular TV shows, making it feel like a part of everyday culture. And they didn't stop there. They kept innovating, launching new flavors like cardamom to keep things exciting.
And all of this happened at lightning speed. It launched in 2007, and by 2014, it wasn't just a player. It basically was the market. They were selling over 900,000 liters a day. I mean, an absolute juggernaut. But as we all know, the higher you climb, the harder the fall can be.
But then, around 2017, everything started to shift. And the first sign of trouble didn't come from a business competitor. Nope, it came from the highest court in the entire country.
So the Supreme Court of Pakistan starts this big investigation into the milk industry. And a move like that carries a ton of weight with the public. Out of that investigation, they slapped new, really strict regulations on all tea whiteners. This set off a chain reaction that, frankly, Tarang was just not ready for.
And this right here, this was the dagger. The court mandated that every single carton of tea whitener had to have this warning printed on it. Ye asli doodh nahi hai. That translates to, this is not real milk. Just imagine seeing that on a product you trust and use every single day. The impact was immediate, and it was devastating. For years, Tarang's packaging just screamed quality and good taste. All of a sudden, it's carrying this government-mandated warning that taps right into every consumer's fear about processed food. Is it safe? What am I even drinking? The trust that took them a decade to build just started to evaporate, practically overnight.
But believe it or not, that court ruling was just the first domino to fall. What came next was a perfect storm of crises that hit the brand from every conceivable angle.
The really key thing to get here is that this wasn't one single failure. It was 4 massive problems all hitting them at once. You've got the regulatory and media heat. That cracks open the door for competitors to pour in. Then consumer trust is already crumbling, and it gets worse because of actual quality problems. And to top it all off, the cost of the ingredients they needed just skyrocketed. And of course, when the king is wounded, everyone wants a piece of the throne. Competitors like Nestlé's Everyday, Das Tea, and Goopshup went on the attack. Even the local dairy farmers and loose milk sellers saw a golden opportunity to win back customers who are now paranoid about packaged goods.
And the numbers, they're just staggering to look at. Daily sales volume nosedived from over 900,000 liters to just 400,000. That's more than a 50% drop. The brand that was once their golden goose was now bleeding money. And to make an awful situation even worse, they started having real quality control issues. Consumers were reporting opening up cartons to find the product had curdled and was totally unusable. Then the media firestorm hit. Lab tests found beneficial ingredients like iron and zinc, but the reports twisted it, claiming metal particles were found. The damage to their reputation was just immense.
So after that massive storm finally passed, what was left? Well, the market looked completely different, and the story of Tarang had turned into a classic business school cautionary tale.
By 2019, the market was completely transformed. Nestlé's Everyday had swooped in and grabbed the crown, taking 40% of the market. Tarang? They were left with a measly 16%. The former king was now just a minor player in the very kingdom it had built.
So, what's the big lesson here? It all comes down to brand loyalty. Tarang's story is a powerful, flashing warning sign that your customers' trust, no matter how strong it seems, is incredibly fragile. It can be shattered by the right combination of outside forces and your own mistakes.
At the end of the day, this isn't just a story about a tea whitener. It's a bigger story about a country, about how consumer choices can change on a dime, and how quickly a market leader can be toppled. It's proof that no amount of market share makes you bulletproof.
And that really leaves us with one final thought. The Tarang story took place in Pakistan's tea market, but the lesson here is universal. It forces us all to ask a tough question. In a world that changes this fast, is any company's dominance, is any brand's throne ever truly safe?